sahabat Liputan6.com. Selamat datang di program wawancara khusus di Ambassador bersama saya, Tanti Yulianingsih. Dunia kini tengah menyoroti eskalasi tensi antara Rusia dan Ukraina, di mana pada 24 Maret 2021 waktu lokal Ukraina tercatat sebagai 1 bulan invasi Rusia ke Ukraina. Untuk mengetahui situasi terkini perihal tersebut, kita akan berbincang dengan Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Indonesia, His Excellency Vasyl Hamianin. Private Доброго дня. Hello, good afternoon, is that correct?
Very much correct, very precise. Доброго дня.
Yakti.
What?
Yakti, apa kabar?
Jak sprawy, jak ty? Yes, sure.
Yakti.
Yeah.
Okay. It's been an honor for me to interview you today. Thank you. Thank you for the opportunity and welcome to our program, The Ambassador. As we know that...
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. And it's my honor to be invited and to have this opportunity to talk to your audience.
Okay. As we know that today, or 24th of March 2022 in Ukraine, is 1 month of the Russian invasion to Ukraine. What are your responses to the escalation so far? And what is your expectation?
Thank you very much again. And it's a very tragic day for Ukraine, and it will remain in our memories, in our hearts forever. Like we always remember the day when Second World War started in the world, in Europe. We'll remember this. And what I can say about today, maybe it was very much unexpected for many people in the world. And especially it was unexpected for Russian Federation that Ukraine will manage to keep resisting, to keep fighting for more than 3 days as they expected. So that was a big surprise for Russia. And I think that was a big surprise for many countries in the world, because the second, as it was considered, second strongest army in the world is attacking like a relatively small country. And as it was supposed, much weaker, badly equipped, and everything. But what we see now is that Ukraine not only resisting, but is proved it to be very efficient. And what is very important, highly motivated, because this attempt of Russian neocolonialism to attack on world democracy failed till now. We see that democracies of the world stood up, at least many of them stood up and condemned the aggressor, condemned Russia, and keep on providing strong help and assistance to Ukraine, expressing support in all possible areas and spheres. So the month of war, I repeat, is not a war of Russia against Ukraine, not just invasion. It is a challenge of neocolonialism towards world's democracy, peace, and stability. So my expectation is only one: to put the end to this war as soon as possible.
Oh, yeah, you're correct. I heard that the Ukrainian troops started to counter the attack of the Russian army and reclaim some of the territory that Russia had occupied on the 27th day of the invasion. So some of the areas targeted by the Ukrainian army included some points around the capital of Kiev, which has been under siege by Russia, the cities of Makariv, Borodyanka, Mykolaiv, and Kherson has already in the hand of the Ukrainian army. So please tell us what is the real situation, the war between Russia and Ukraine right now?
It's very sensitive questions in terms that I don't have the right to disclose the true situation in some regions because it's classified information. I think that it is very right, it is true, and it is important not to disclose any information on a plans of our army or the real achievements of our army, because this could be used by the enemy, and it might have a bad influence on the real situation. So everything I can tell you just comes from the news. It comes from the open sources. It is right that in some regions, Ukrainian army started to counter-attack and started to not only resist but also attack the invaders. What is important to underline here is that as it is a month, right? So first weeks of war were really hard for Ukraine, really hard especially for the civilians, because what the Russian army does is bombing the civilians, killing the civilians, women and children and elders, just residential houses, schools, and the hospitals and all this. So the first weeks of the war, we had a big problem with the skies, with missiles attacking us, with the aircraft dropping bombs on the cities. So that was a big problem because we didn't know and didn't have the equipment, didn't have the defensive weapons to counter this danger from the skies. But now I think that our army received perhaps some very good samples of anti-air defensive systems, and Russia is running out of ammunition also. So hopefully they'll run out of the missiles and bombs very soon, so the air would be safe for Ukraine. And in this situation, I think that the counterattacks especially on the troops surrounding the major cities of Ukraine, like Mariupol, Kharkiv, and threatening also Chernihiv, Sumy, and threatening Kiev, the capital of Ukraine, they will be under attack, under counterstrike from Russian military forces. So in terms of military situation, like army to army, I think I would rather be optimistic. And the reason for my optimism is that our army, Ukrainian army, is defending our land, defending our Tanahair, and we are highly motivated, and we have 100% support from the population, from the civilians everywhere, in villages, in cities, in towns, everywhere. We have full support of the population. On the contrary, Russian army is demoralized, and they don't have any motivation to fight. They just given orders, and I would say they were misinformed in many terms, because the Russian propaganda tells them that there will be a military operation against the fascists or against something, right? They came, and people would have welcomed them with flowers, right, on the streets of cities. And what happens now is absolutely different, the opposite. So in terms of this, I'm being more optimistic. What I'm being very pessimistic about is that situation in surrounded and destroyed cities. Again, Mariupol, Chernihiv, Sumy, Kharkiv remains very dangerous in terms of humanitarian dimension, because people are really suffering. I mean, the civilians are suffering. Mariupol was surrounded and bombed first time 18 days ago. It's nearly 3 weeks. First bombardments were targeted at the electricity providers, the water providers, and the critical infrastructure. So 3 weeks ago, city of Mariupol was cut off electricity, water supplies, food supplies, medicine supplies, heating, and this is a tragedy now. So these cities of Ukraine are facing real humanitarian catastrophe, especially due to the fact that even the humanitarian convoys, even the medicians, doctors, and all these like convoys with medicines, with water and food, are not allowed to enter the city of Mariupol and Kharkiv to deliver some aids for people suffering, for civilians. They were not allowed by Russian occupants, so by Russian invaders, and this is very serious. And I'm grieving about this, and everyone Ukrainian is grieving about this too. And even we even don't know the losses of civilians in these cities because the rescuers are not allowed also, like firefighters, medicians, and rescuers. So we don't know how many people have been killed by Russian missiles and bombs in the city.
So is there any registered of the death toll in Ukrainian side, whether the civilians or the soldiers in total?
To be honest, the information has two parts, right? One part is the official information, which is published on the UN website, so everyone can check this. Now it is only the confirmed death, and now I just opening the documents on that, but it's not very precise because the death toll increases every day. And I repeat that in big cities, like Mariupol was like 500,000 population. Kharkiv was around 1.2, 1.5 million population. So these are big cities. And Chernihiv and Sumy, a couple of hundreds of thousands. So after the bombardments, after the blockade of those cities, it's really unknown how many civilians died. So the figures, we can only pick up the figures from the official statistics of the United Nations and delivered by I don't have the precise figures of that, but the official numbers are hundreds, if not thousands. The real numbers would be much bigger. And as for the losses of militaries, it is the I think this is classified information. So but what I can tell you is that Ukrainian army proved to be very efficient and I repeat, highly motivated, and Ukrainians are real real soldiers. And as for the army, I think that our losses in military dimension are not that big, but it's important to mention that for me as Ukrainian citizen, for everyone Ukrainian in the world, every drop of blood of every soldier, of every child is priceless, and every single soldier killed during this war, during this invasion, defending our land is a tragedy, personal tragedy for every citizen of Ukraine.
So people who want to know about the numbers of the death toll, maybe they can use the data from the United Nations.
Yes, I'm trying to send you now the. Can I send it to you now? To whom? I don't know if
later. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay, I'll send it later because
later.
This is a big document and it's every region has the statistics, but it's not yeah. I repeat, every day the figures change, and it's very difficult to count, and it's very difficult to put it, update it every day, because to update you have to, in Mariupol, They don't even have the mobile phones. They cannot. They don't know. We don't know what's happening really in the city, because the people just cut off the electricity, and the the systems are destroyed too. So it's really a tragedy, and it's really a catastrophe what's happening then. So yeah.
Okay. The next question is, we all want the war between Russia and Ukraine to end as soon as possible. We also know that there is a series of meetings have also been held to support the peace process. My question is, how far has the peace negotiation process gone so far?
Right. I will have two parts of answering this question. First part is, if we are talking about the so-called peace negotiations between Russian Federation and Ukraine, it doesn't go anywhere, because as I repeated many times, if you negotiate, you don't kill civilians, right? So you don't drop bombs at the same time when you sit down and talk about peace, right? If you talk about peace, you should stop killing the people around you, all around the country, right? So when so-called negotiators from Russia come to Ukraine, they demand something that we cannot accept, like surrender, like giving up our land, like change the government, which now has like 99% of support from Ukrainian citizens. So these demands are stupid and ridiculous. And if you really have the willingness and the political will, right, to negotiate peace, you should first think carefully about your demands. They should not be ridiculous and unacceptable, by default. And the second is, you should stop killing the population, stop killing civilians. So this bit is like this. But as my president not once declared, and in the last interview to world media, he answered this question, said that I'm ready to talk any second, any day, any time with President of Russian Federation, and we can sit down and discuss every point, every question, everything. But the condition for this is ceasefire. You do not negotiate and kill in the same time. So in the longer prospect, if you want my position on is the peace process, the peace negotiations are possible at all, my answer is yes, because every war ends with peaceful negotiations and agreement. So this is inevitable. This will happen sooner or later. For Ukraine, we are counting not days, we are counting minutes of this war, because every minute means loss of lives. Every minute means the children dying of dehydration, of diseases, of lack of care and everything. So for us, every minute counts. Every minute means a lot. So yes, we are ready to negotiate anytime.
Okay. So it means there is no result, there is no conclusions about the peace process from the Russian, but Ukraine already to make the negotiation process to Russia.
This is,
okay.
I would explain maybe 2 words more to understand the real position of Russia, right? We always propose something acceptable to everyone. What it means, what is acceptable? Just think about it. And I just call upon the audience, every human being, to think about it, every manusya, right? Our condition is to stop killing people and sit down and talk. Is it unacceptable? Not. But what happens with Russia? From the nearest history, about the occupied territories of Luhansk and Donetsk for 8 years now, right? So Ukraine, during last 8 years, Ukraine approached the United Nations Security Council 11 times, asking for a peacekeeping forces to enter the occupied regions of Donbass in Ukraine, in eastern Ukraine, and the observers, peacekeepers, everything. 11 times it was rejected by Russian Federation. This just an example, a demonstration how Russians are preparing or to negotiate what is the real face of Russian militarism or Russian colonialism. This is just an example. Sorry.
Okay. So my last question is about Indonesia. As we know that Indonesia took part in condemning the Russia's aggressions against Ukraine through United Nations resolutions, which is supported by 141 countries. What is your response to Indonesia's support for Ukraine?
Yeah, my response is very simple. I'm grateful for the efforts of the government of Indonesia. I'm grateful for the efforts of Minister of Foreign Affairs and the President of Indonesia for all these peaceful efforts. I'm grateful to the Speaker of your Parliament who spoke out that we are trying to put the end of this war during the opening ceremony of the IPU summit or IPU meeting in Bali recently. So I'm grateful for every one who supports Ukraine in these hard days, to the media people, to the just common people of Indonesia. I'm feeling this, and I'm feeling the prayers towards the peace in Ukraine. To be more specific about this declaration you mentioned, I think that the efforts of every country expressing the goodwill and condemning Russian Federation as an aggressor are very important. However, the platform of the United Nations now is very weak and disabled, I would say, or handicapped, I don't know. Why? Because the aggressor is the permanent member of the United Nations Security Council, and the aggressor has the veto right, which will not allow this resolution move any further. It will not bring the concrete and tangible results. So it's a deadlock and dead end of the peaceful process on the UN platform. But my hope is that the new multilateral platform is established, maybe, or any multilateral existing platform other than the UN will be used for that to start the peace process, multilateral peace process immediately. And I think this is the chance for every country in the world, especially the chance for the regional leaders and for the global powers, which Indonesia is effectively turning into as a leader, as a president in the G20, for example. I'm observing this, I'm watching this, and I really highly appreciate and admire the efforts of Indonesia within G20, for example, as a playing the leading role and leading the world into absolutely on my opinion, absolutely right directions. It's critical problems they are being discussed and viewed in this format, and I think that if not the new platform is to be established, if no new platform is to be established to start the efficient peace process in Ukraine, then maybe G20 might be the good platform for this. This is not up to me to decide, and I repeat, I don't want to lecture anyone. I don't want to push anyone to any decision. But my dream and the dream of every Ukrainian is to start the peaceful process immediately, and to hold this peaceful process efficiently. Because I repeat, we cannot wait, just simply cannot wait for months or weeks to let this diplomatic negotiation process last forever. We cannot wait. Every minute is important. So the sooner the better. This is my expectation and my dream.
See, we hope the peace process has the result immediately, because we don't want this conflict, this escalation much further, because there is so much loss of life because of this war.
From the very first second of this war, we wanted it to stop. Even before it started, we repeatedly claimed that we don't want any war, sure, and we are not the threat to no one, especially to the Russian Federation.
Okay, that's a wrap. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your answer today for the program of Liputan.com, the ambassador. So, dakuyu pobachimos. Thank you very much.
I'm so grateful, Iran. You are being very precise. Very. Dakuyu pobachimos.
Okay.
Sampai ketemu lagi. Terima kasih.
Sama-sama. Sahabat Liputan.com, itu dia tadi wawancara khusus saya dengan Duta Besar Ukraina untuk Indonesia, His Excellency Vasyl Hamianin. Sampai ketemu lagi di program wawancara di ambassador berikutnya. Nanti pamit. Bye.